Figure it out.
Hello, my name is Dr. Paul Charno, and this is Bad Movie Theatre. My mission to review some of the worst films ever made, not only for your enjoyment, but also for my personal pleasure. It is my sincerest hope that you will need to have seen today's film. But if you have, you will better understand me to my fullest. Furthermore, I feel that all bad movies have a moment that is so horrific that the movie can never come back. This is known as the moment in which the film goes full retard. This is so significant that I have no choice but to point it out to you. So, without further ado, I present to you today's episode.
Face Off. This was the first American movie in which director John Woo was given creative control. This basically meant that we would get a protagonist in the form of a cop, mysterious gusts of wind, a lot of excessive gunshots without reloading, physics-defying shootouts that occur in reality, and of course, slow motion with white birds fluttering in the background. This movie's plot is so simplistic they actually sum it up for you in the film.
The assignment was to enter a federal prison as Castor Troy. She's fucking insane. And as a special ops surgeon gave me Castor's face! And then somehow Castor came out of his coma and killed everybody who knew about the mission. But not before transforming into me.
The only thing he fails to mention is that he is now the head of the FBI, while his nemesis is a known terrorist. I feel that John Woo ruined what could have actually been a rather entertaining movie. A guilty pleasure to be sure. The original concept was to be set in the future and star Arnold Schwarzenegger and Sylvester Stallone. Woo changed the movie because he wanted it to feel more realistic, and didn't think anyone would believe that Arnold Schwarzenegger could ever be the leader of any major government position. Anyway, the movie begins with Nicolas Cage's character, Castor Troy, attempting to assassinate John Travolta's character, Sean Archer. But he misses and kills Sean's son, who apparently died on 2 different days.
The fuck is that?
Here is the first of many moments when the movie reminds you that faces are a significant part of the film. This is stuffed down our throats so much that ironically the only thing involving our face we can think of by the end is a facepalm. So then we fast forward 6 years and see that Sean, Travolta, is a cop and Castor, Cage, is a terrorist or something. Sean is understandably trying to pursue Castor and is stressed out about it. This is normal for him. Every day he comes in and screams at his coworkers about the same issue.
We'll take a break when the case breaks, okay?
Side note, why is he still on the same case after 6 years if he hasn't made any progress?
Sir, excuse me, your wife is on line 1.
Sean! A jet was just chartered, Anderson Airfield. Guess who paid the bill in cash? Pollux Troy.
Put one of our people on that plane.
Wait, we still got no sign of Castor.
Pollux doesn't fly without Big Brother. Now, come on.
This kind of pacing and quickly performed bad dialogue happens a lot in this film. So here we have yet another scene with a lot of important dialogue that is poorly paced and relates to information and characters that we don't know and may never be introduced to. This results in the scene being confusing, and by the end we basically just understand that Nick Cage is on a plane with some guy that may or may not be mentally challenged.
I ain't got a good brain.
Suddenly the FBI descend upon them with a cadre of officers to chase them down. Here we learn this woman on board is also a federal officer named Winters. She gets taken down almost immediately. What was her plan? She knew they were coming, so why not grab these 2 officers and be like,
"The most dangerous terrorist in the world and his mildly retarded brother are going to be here soon. As soon as they are, arrest them."
Instead, she allowed the plane to attempt takeoff and started to go along with Castor's sexual advances. Only when the FBI emerges does she reveal her identity. Well, what if they had been late? Even by another 10 seconds. The plane would have taken off. Would she have proceeded to fornicate with him? So we see Sean Archer in a Hummer and he plays chicken with a jet. He backs off because he notices, despite it being visually impossible, that Winters has been discovered by Castor. He fears that if he continues to run towards the jet, then Castor will kill her.
Look, I know Castor too well for this to be a hunch.
Even I saw it coming when he kills her, and I barely understand anything that's going on. Castor kills the pilot because he's a one-dimensional supervillain of sorts, and then rams the jet into a hangar believing that this will somehow provide him and his brother refuge. A ridiculous gunfight gets underway, the mildly retarded brother is captured, and then a face-off between Castor and Sean starts.
Ready for the big ride, baby!
Anyway, it results in Castor getting knocked out by the force of a jet engine. So now we meet his family, about whom he really doesn't care, because he's claimed prior to this
I don't care if I live.
yet his family was the motivation for him to hunt Castor in the first place. They show us his daughter, and I guess we're supposed to think she's strange. Perhaps this is because the movie is nearly 15 years old and her fashion style isn't all that abnormal now, but even in the late 90s, when they shot the film, would this have really shocked people so much that they would have believed she got in a fight over it? So, Sean goes back to work, and suddenly it's revealed that Castor had planted a bomb somewhere in Los Angeles.
It's enough to flatten a square mile.
So the case isn't quite closed. Sean decides he needs to see the mildly retarded brother.
I'm interested in
I won't
bomb.
say another word until I see my brother.
Oh, come on. He's a paranoid sociopath. The only person he'd talk to about that bomb is his brother, and he's dead. Oh, God. You're keeping him alive.
We are introduced to Dr. Walsh. He tells Sean the entire mission plan of swapping his face with Castor's. They show us insane medical technology that is essentially impossible to accept in 2010, much less 1997. Sean rejects the plan and decides to interrogate Castor's gang, which is poorly done. Each character is given a horrible introduction, but 2 out of the 3 end up being major characters. But we wouldn't have any way of knowing that unless you just remember that Gina Gershon is a bigger name actress. But banking on the fact that one of the actors playing the role happens to be a successful thespian is a poor way to introduce a character. Here we are, the moment when the film goes full retard.
You went full retard, man.
They reiterate the need for Sean to get the face transplant. They also, for no reason at all, decide this has to be a super secret mission that no one other than Dr. Walsh, this woman, Sean, and this random black guy can know about.
What?
They don't even allow the prison he's about to infiltrate to know about this.
Strictly off the books. You can't tell Lazaro. And you can't tell your wife.
I'll do it.
So, the surgery goes through. It's insane beyond reason. What else do I need to say?
That's the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen.
They also need to modify his voice. So,
I've implanted a microchip on your larynx. It's fantastic, but you'll have to be careful. Pressure, sharp blow, even a violent sneeze could dislodge it.
well, let's hope that never happens. So suddenly we're in a prison that is so intense that it makes Guantanamo Bay look like Disney World. This facility makes no sense. First, it uses technology that doesn't exist. Second, they claim it's so secret that
The Geneva Convention is void here.
Third, it allows for transfers and ultimately the release of prisoners.
Your brother's been released.
If it's meant to be such a secret, how could it function like this? First, where do people think these prisoners are going? Second, why does it allow for people to leave at all? Does it trust convicted felons not to ever talk about this super secret prison once pardoned? Third, who finances such an insane project? So, because we haven't seen an action scene in a while, some random inmate decides to assault Archer for, as far as we know at this point, is no reason at all. Later, they briefly mention that Castor had slept with his wife and sister. This is the best way to justify a pointless fight scene. So then we're back with the actual Castor. He wakes up somehow and notices his face is gone.
What's wrong with your face?
Despite this, he isn't screaming in agony. Despite being the most dangerous man on Earth, apparently, he isn't guarded by so much as even a rent-a-cop. He calls his minions and gives them such a vague and impossibly indecipherable message that even we, the audience, can't understand. And we've been watching the events.
They switched my... for some fucking...
How his lackeys, who believe he is dead, could interpret this message to mean,
I'm in some place I don't know about. You'll figure it out. Anyway, go find all the guys who knew about this secret mission that I shouldn't know anything about, that also know how to perform face transplants. Bring them here so they can do it to me, and then we can kill them so as to screw over Archer and free my brother from a prison that doesn't exist.
Is beyond impossible to accept. Yet, we are forced to. So, they meet up in the prison, and now they've swapped lives, essentially. Archer is understandably upset. So, this is strange, but vital. I will only go into it briefly now. Essentially, now that Castor is in Archer's position of power, he releases his brother from prison. We also see the mildly retarded brother seems to know that they've swapped identities. How would he know that? Moreover, why would he believe that?
The first thing I need you to confess to is the location of the bomb.
I thought he was incredibly paranoid, and that was the whole point of everything leading up to this moment.
Oh, come on. He's a paranoid sociopath.
It's strange someone so paranoid would go along with this, but apparently he'll trust the voice and face of his mortal enemy, simply claiming to be his brother. Makes sense. Turns out he wasn't paranoid, he's just a moron. So they go to the LA Convention Center and find the bomb. The trained bomb squad says they can't disarm it without a few more hours. Castor tells them to leave. Once gone, he inputs the code to disarm it. It's at this moment we realize the bomb has less than a minute before detonation, and he shuts it down with only 2 seconds left. Yet again, we're in a situation where if he had been even 10 seconds later than he was, the outcome would have been drastically different. Also, he becomes a hero for doing this. Yet no one questions how a trained bomb squad claimed nothing could be done, but an FBI agent who just basically decided to take a crack at it managed to successfully defuse it.
How did he do that?
Eventually, Archer decides he needs to escape from prison. Wow, who didn't see this coming?
How can I get these boots off?
They only take them off in the clinic, right before they fry your skull.
Which they only do when you misbehave a lot. So he decides to use that as a chance to escape. Here is his plan.
I'm out of cigarettes.
You know those things will kill you.
Bob, I didn't touch your wife. So let's get out of here.
Fortunately for him, all of this happens and he escapes with no problem in only a few minutes. Okay, so Archer manages to get back to shore, presumably by swimming. He quickly steals the only car in the world that magically will change your clothes for you.
I am a great magician. Your clothes are black.
He attempts to call his boss, but for some reason Castor picks up. Archer then, for no reason, tips him off that he is still alive.
Well, if you're Sean Archer, I guess I'm Castor Troy.
So, then Archer goes to Castor's gang for assistance. They also hammer home the title for no reason.
You want to take his face?
Yes. His face? Oh. The face.
Look, what I'm trying to tell you, brother, Pollux, is once we get the full protection and resources of the government to help us get rid of our rivals, right? Then we'll be set. Then maybe, just maybe, I'll get my frickin' face back.
He suddenly decides to help out his enemy's daughter for some reason. And then actually does it a second time.
Protection.
By the way, it's interesting to note the only person who seems to know why their daughter is acting strange is Castor and not her parents. In 6 years, they haven't figured it out. He did it in less than a week.
No, you haven't been the same since Mike died. Hiding behind someone else's face.
Get down!
So, I can kind of forgive that the mildly retarded brother would just be spying on his brother's old hangout. But what doesn't make sense is how all the FBI agents just suddenly attacked the apartment. The brother reports it to Castor, who off-screen must have said,
"Oh my god, okay, don't ask how I know this, but Castor is at his apartment. Come pick me up and we'll attack. Oh, and do it in like less than 3 minutes, please."
Proof is that in between the brother's phone call and the attack is a real-time conversation between Sean and Sasha, which only lasts a couple of minutes. But that was time enough for what is almost an army to get itself together and unleash war on a single apartment.
After last night's bloodbath, I'm terminating your war on terrorists.
Did he just cause him to go into the early stages of cardiac arrest with his eyes? Prior to this, we never had any reason to believe this character had heart issues. Sean returns to his house and attempts to convince his wife who he is. She sort of believes him, and for no reason he leaves. She decides to run a blood test on her fake husband and find out the truth for herself. Sean just emerges from the shadows and they decide to plan a trap for Castor at Lazzaro's funeral.
I don't have time for this.
All hell breaks loose and a ridiculous gunfight gets underway, but not before Archer for no reason tips off Castor that he is there, thus eliminating the formidable advantage of a surprise attack. Side note, we have another villain who refers to themselves as evil.
The eternal battle between good and evil.
There is this odd exchange that is stupid on top of crazy that results in basically everyone dying except the main characters.
Take care of our boy.
Eve essentially tells the FBI off-screen the story about how they swapped faces, and apparently they believe her with no issues, meaning it never had to be a secret in the first place, thus making so much of this movie pointless.
What?
Castor decides to suddenly take Jamie hostage, even though he's been trying to protect her for no reason all the time prior to this. She even defeats him with the very weapon he gave her to protect herself. This is not ironic, it's just insane. How did he not see that coming? He takes hostage a girl that he taught how to defeat an assailant.
Slip this in his thigh. Twist it so the wound won't close.
So now we can prove Castor has the worst escape plans in history. Even when he sees officers who think he is Archer, rather than go with them to obvious safety and continued power, he kills them and gets into a speedboat for no reason. What was the goal if he escaped in the speedboat? Where would he go? Remember, as far as he knows, he's still the head of the FBI. But whatever. He gets on a boat and there's another gunfight. So his plan was to damage the face so bad that Archer wouldn't be able to use it, despite the fact the entire foundation of this technology was the idea that they can eliminate any scar.
But all that's the easy part.
Archer becomes himself again and comes home. Then out of nowhere he whips out a kid, and he more or less says,
"Oh my god, can we keep him?"
My name's Jamie.
No! No!
The moral of this story appears to be if someone kills your son, just adopt his. The entire conflict of this movie was useless. Given that we know that Castor's mildly retarded brother would have believed something so stupid as the idea that his brother was now in the body of his enemy,
this is how the movie could have played out.
You're asking me to break the law, risk my neck, and you're asking me to put in the dark all the people that love me and trust me.
No, I have a better idea. No. Pollux, it's me, Castor. Oh my god.
No, you're Sean Archer, my enemy.
No, really, it's me, Castor. I was in a coma and then I woke up and found Sean's face in a bucket of water and I had it surgically grafted to my head. Oh my god.
Oh, that's cool.
Yes, so I need you to confess to the location of the bomb. Oh my god.
Okay.
What a retard. I can't believe you fell for that. Oh my god. Oh my god. Can you defuse it?
Yeah, it'll take a few hours, but, we've got days.
As you can see, this was all pointless. In order to be logical, nothing involving facial surgery should ever have occurred.
Thus concludes today's episode of Bad Movie Theater. Join us again next time. Thank you.